audience, and welcome to part 2 of Fright Night with your hosts, Dr. K.
Yes, and me, Peter. Welcome to Fright Night, as they say.
Yes, thanks for sticking with us, everybody. And here we're going to pick up right where our conversation left off and take you on our journey of the Fright Night Reboots, 2011's Fright Night and 2013's Fright Night 2, New Blood.
New Blood, yeah. And I'm glad you call them reboots too, because that was something I was struggling with how to call these.
Yeah.
And I came up with the same thing too. I thought these are reboots because they're not remakes. Really.
No. Yeah.
It's like they really were trying to like reboot the franchise.
Yeah, totally. I think if they were you're absolutely right. If they were, the Halloween franchise, those were remakes, right? The two Rob Zombie ones, they were really trying to go back to here's this place, here's these characters, here's this time, and then we're going to remake that. This was totally we're going to take this group of characters and retell it in Las Vegas and Romania.
Because the fans were asking for it.
Yes.
Romania, bring them to Romania.
We need more Romania. We haven't had any good Romania since Halloween Part 5, 6, and 7.
That's right. We need more Suprios in Romania, please. Yes. Oh man. Yeah. So this was this Fright Night 2011. Now this was a fun one for me particularly because when we first started talking about this, I said, "Did you see the remake or the reboot?"
Right.
And then you were like, "No, I haven't.
Yeah,
I heard it's crap."
That's
and
right.
I was like, "No, it's actually pretty good."
Yes.
And I had to convince you for a little while because I thought I was in the same boat as you. I was like, "Oh, it didn't make any money. It was crap. It's disappeared." And then I saw it on the airplane one time, and it was one of those perfect times to see it, because it was just like, well, just watch this. This is on like the new releases, and it's free, and I'm stuck here in my seat anyways,
Yes.
And there are very few movies, for me at least, where it's like I can't sit through it on an airplane.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's how you know a movie is really bad, when you have to turn it off on the airplane and be like, I'd rather stare at the back of the seat in front of me than to watch any more of Transformers: The Rise of the Fallen Knights. You know what I mean?
So, I do know what you mean. Take that, Transformers.
Right. So
flop.
Oh God. So this one, I remember just being delighted because I was just like, well, we'll see how mediocre this is going to be.
Totally.
And then it was just fun. It was hilarious. It was really good writing.
I couldn't agree more.
The acting was great.
Yeah.
I loved everybody in it. And we had talked about this too. Both of us, like probably most everyone on Earth, really don't like Colin Farrell.
Right. That was my biggest hang up. That's why I was just like, it's got to suck.
Yeah. And because, he kind of asks for it too.
Yeah, he does.
He's a jerk,
Yeah.
But he's perfect for this role because that's what they need. They needed a jerk for this.
Really?
And,
yeah. This is what he was gearing up to play in his life. It's like for Ryan Reynolds, it was Deadpool, and for Colin Farrell, it was Jerry Danbridge.
That's right. It's true, man. He did a great, and it was cool too because I gotta respect him for not just trying to ape Chris Sarandon.
Yeah, totally.
He really did like this whole other sliminess that was just his own thing,
Yeah. Creepy construction, Las Vegas construction worker.
Yep.
Yeah, very different from.
And it was cool. I thought. Also, this is just something that came to me just tonight when I was thinking about it. But isn't it interesting how we had all that to say about in the original Jerry's security guard, Renfield guy,
the goon,
the goon. Yep. He doesn't really have a goon in this,
right?
But then what I thought was interesting is Peter Vincent has a goon in a way.
That's
with
right.
The Selma Hayek. I can't remember. That girl.
Yes.
His girlfriend.
Yeah.
She's Peter Vincent's goon.
Totally.
She's opening the door for everybody.
Man, that is great insight. I didn't even ever think about that, but you're absolutely right. Yeah. I really did think about that. It was interesting that there's no goon protector in this one for the Jerry Danbridge character, but you're absolutely right. Yeah, they just shifted that over to
Yeah, her name was Sandra Vergara.
Yeah. Okay.
And she was hilarious.
She was great.
I remember everything she said. We just were busting out laughing.
Yeah.
She was just like, "I'm eating yogurt.
Right.
I don't want to open the door."
Right. Well, right, because she's the lackey, right? But she's totally just telling Peter Vincent to piss off more often than not, right?
Yep. As you would, because I mean, come on, why are you telling me what to do, Peter Vincent?
Yep. Yeah. Well, let's talk about Peter Vincent. David Tennant's portrayal of this version of Peter Vincent was killer. It was such a cool twist. Yep. So very different from Roddy McDowell's version, which was excellent. But it's so cool to be able to breathe new life into a character like that.
Yes.
Right. I mean, we see that happen in comic books all the time. I think that's why comics are so great, is because they're serialized and you've got so many different directions and avenues to go. But with movie characters, it's a lot more difficult, and you can really shoot yourself in the foot by trying to reimagine a character. But David Tennant really killed it with his David Blaine. Take on this, the idea of a new magician, and having him be giving the appearance of being very skeptical when he first meets with Charlie. He's kind of like, it's all bullshit, it's all fake. When we find out that he's actually got this great insight, into.
He has a history with it, right?
Yeah.
I think that was a really smart choice. Again, I think that was. A combination of his just great acting and then really smart writing too. Because,
totally.
If you think about it, like the original Fright Night, there's Charlie Brewster is watching Peter Vincent.
Yes.
With a little bit of that like teenage like hero worship.
Oh, totally.
Bit, right?
Totally.
Yeah. He's like, oh, Peter Vincent's the greatest. He's a vampire. He actually really believes he's a vampire killer.
Right. Right.
That's it's laughable to us. But that's. There is a little bit of that, innocentness of being a teenager and
totally.
hero worshiping.
Totally.
And so how would that work in our age now?
Right.
Of course, a magician.
Right.
That would be something a teenager would worship in a way, in the same kind of way of like, he's magical. He can do all this stuff,
Totally. I think it's probably it's probably how teenagers now, and I think we were probably both guilty of this. I know I was with wrestlers, right?
Yeah.
With professional wrestlers.
Right.
Like those guys were doing like beyond real stuff, right? And I mean, I don't want to get into the whole thing about whether it's fake or not, but there's definitely nothing fake about 350-pound men flying through the air and smashing into each other. That's all very real, And so then it's very easy to fall into that naivete, I think is what you're getting at, and being like, well, these guys obviously just go around and smash people to bits, and they can pick up cars and tables because, I mean.
So with that kind of mentality, it's like,
totally.
It's like, you would think like, oh, I need someone really strong to help me out. I'll go ask Roddy Piper.
Right. Yes.
Of course. Why wouldn't you ask him?
That's right. He's probably got a pair of glasses I can borrow to see the truth.
I hope we can have a 10-minute long wrestling match in some dirty alley about these sunglasses, because that will be good.
Yes.
So many things like that. I think we're giving people like a nice little sprinkling of just the smart choices made in this movie.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
That are just fun, especially coming from the original, knowing the original.
Right.
You have all these expectations, all these little things that you're looking for, and then they really kind of pay it off,
They did, big time.
But they do it in unexpected ways, which adds like this just funness.
Man, totally.
Like, I don't know what to expect. What's going to happen?
Right. No, absolutely. I think from the very get-go, the fact that it was set in suburban Las Vegas, it's not on the strip Vegas. It's out kind of very suburban. You're out in the boonies, right?
Yep.
You're in the subdivisions, and it gave it such a dirty feel, such a nasty, nothing. I mean, if you live in Vegas, I've got a really good friend who lives in Vegas, and we're not knocking Vegas, but what the producers and everybody were trying to get at was that kind of that just isolated, weird suburban feeling.
Definitely, it's the culture of working in Las Vegas and being up all night working in Vegas,
right,
and then driving
back to the suburbs,
and then sleeping in these crappy subdivision houses during the day.
Absolutely, yeah.
So
yeah.
And it's like, again, that's really smart insight, because like, of course, that would be a place a vampire would gravitate towards.
Totally. Right.
Because everybody would expect you to be sleeping during the day.
Right.
You know?
Right. And so very different from the first two movies, right? Mm-hmm. More so, I'll probably compare it more to the original Fright Night.
Yeah.
But the original Fright Night had that very, like, this is Middletown, America, and this is obviously a really cool set on the back lot of Paramount or wherever they were at. Whereas the what we'll call, I don't know, we're going to call it 100 different things, but the Anton Yelchin Fright Night definitely has a very different quality. And I think you were talking about this in the first episode that we did, that the house really is a character in the first one, and that's very, I think that was very different in this one. The house doesn't have that same grandiose, like, its own character. Like, they weren't writing the house as a player in this movie, and that's fine because they did a lot of other different things, right?
Again, they almost substitute Peter Vincent's house
exactly
for that
that's
house now,
you just
right?
pulled the words out of my mouth. Yeah, totally.
So but like, I think we both felt that way too, though. It doesn't work the same way, though.
It really doesn't.
And you really feel it at the end.
Yeah.
Climax.
We'll get to the end. That's probably our single criticism, right?
Yeah.
But no, absolutely. The Peter Vincent penthouse, which has all of his relics and everything in it, is killer.
Cases and everything.
It's killer because it's a great way to unfold the story. Because you're really, I mean, I don't know if you felt the same way, but as you're learning about Peter Vincent, you're always questioning whether or not he's a good guy and whether or not he's going to be able to show up. Right? Because he seems really flimsy when you first meet him. He's taking that scene with him sitting there taking his makeup off just said volumes about his character, right? About the fact that he's probably a fake, right? And he's just, this guy's, he's, he does what he does, but he doesn't love it, and he's not there to help anybody out, and he's living this rock star kind of lifestyle. What we find out is really that he's got all this huge insight into vampirism, and that he's used his celebrity to dig deep into all of it. But it made that penthouse really cool because he's got all of his relics and everything, and he doesn't want to get in the fight, but then eventually he does get in the fight, and we find out, of course, that he and Jerry have the backstory together.
No, that's really a great point. That it for as much as I love Roddy McDowall, and the way he did that character, what you just said with the makeup, I mean, he's such a much more complex character in this one.
Totally.
With the levels of farce and masks and real and not real, and he does an expert job of playing that,
And I mean, come on, it's Doctor Who.
Right. Which I still have to see. I still have to see a single new Doctor Who episode.
Man,
I still go back to what we always talk about.
I know.
The guy with the big hair.
Yes.
The big hair Doctor
Baker.
Who. That's Doctor Who. Baker. Yep. But man, so the story in this one is pretty much the same exact story.
Yeah, really, it is. Yeah. They knew all the points to hit.
All the points are hit. We see McLovin as Evil Ed.
Yes.
And that kind of happens right away, though. In this one.
Did, and it's Evil Ed is a more dynamic character, I think, in this one. I think visually he was more dynamic in the first one. I think that Evil Ed will live forever. I mean, you can. I was looking on eBay. You can find like enamel belt buckles of that Evil Ed's of the Stephen. What's his name?
Yes.
That face, right? I mean, that's just like horror legend at this point.
There's like you sent me. There's people have tattoos of this.
They
guy's
do.
face,
I know. That's so weird, right? Yeah, but it's really pretty. It's like huge and epic. But McLovin's, as you put it, Evil Ed, I think, is a far more dynamic character. We really see the flawed relationship between Ed and what's his face, our main character.
Anton Yeltsin, Charlie Brewster.
Thank you, Charlie Brewster.
And just for those keeping track at home, it's Stephen Jeffries.
Thank you, Stephen Jeffries. Yep. I was gaping on his last name. Thank you, Peter, bailing me out.
No, thank you, IMDb.
Who have all the answers.
It's like a magical machine. You can get all these answers with just a press of a button.
You don't even have to flip through pages or anything.
No, that's what we use on our podcast is the Encyclopedia Britannica.
That's right.
From 1987.
So. 20 volumes of Video Hounds from the 1990s and early 2000s.
Do you remember that kid? That with the yellow mullet and the glasses that sold Encyclopedia Britannica.
Oh, yes.
I just saw a picture of him the other day, and it was like this huge, whoa.
Time warp.
Yeah.
Instantly
just like this whole
back.
chapter in my brain opened up, and I was like, oh, of course.
Yeah.
I remember him.
Oh, my goodness. That guy.
Yeah, so, but McLovin.
Anyway. Yeah, so, the relationship between Ed and Brewster. Mm-hmm. We really see in this movie right from the get-go that Charlie's trying to be like, man, I'm done LARPing with you.
Yeah,
you need to put your man pants on.
Right. And again, that adds a lot more complexity to the relationship.
Yeah. It was more hinted in the first movie.
It was
right. It was, you could tell that they were antagonistic against each other,
but it didn't.
We didn't know why, and like they might not even really been friends.
Yeah,
you know. But
that's the thing. Like you could in the original. Yeah, I couldn't imagine them ever being really friends.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
They were just almost like enemies that were just stuck together because they had to be stuck,
right.
You know? Where this one,
exactly.
It's like you could see there was a friendship, and now they're against each other. And although we both made that point when he comes up against the Franco brother.
Oh yes, right.
What's that
kid.
One's name? David Franco, maybe.
Sure.
Whatever. Yeah, Dave Franco. Dave Franco. That's it. So when he shows up, and McLovin is just like, you know what? Just punch me, God damn it.
Yeah.
You know? Yep. And you're like, you know what, McLovin, you are the coolest loser I've ever seen, because no real loser would act.
Oh
cool.
No. Yeah, because he didn't do what every loser does, which is grovel and snivel and beg for mercy or whatever.
Which I think that would have probably been more interesting. Yeah. Because McLovin, I don't even think he should actually be called a real name anymore. Like if I was that actor, I would just adopt the name McLovin because it's almost like an icon now.
I know
it
is.
It
really is.
Everybody watching that Fright Night sees McLovin,
yeah,
and he knows it too. He plays it up.
Yeah.
So McLovin as a character has that loser quality, but he's so much of a loser that he's awesome.
That's right. You love him. You're in love with him. Yeah.
And he's got so much confidence.
Yeah,
too,
totally.
In the fact that he's McLovin. And
that's right.
And this character that he plays is the same exact thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you're like, it would have been fun to see him a little bit more vulnerable, I think.
Right.
Not that, later on he does kind of show a little bit more.
Once it gets down to the pool, the chase scene, the big chase scene happens between him and Jerry Dambridge, which was really good too. I thought that was a pretty awesome chase scene.
And the baptism.
And then the baptism, they really went to a lot of awesome tropes that work well in horror films. Yeah,
definitely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was way more involved too than Evil Ed in the first Fright Night just kind of gets caught, and then okay, cut, and then we have to assume now he's been changed over, right? And with the whole alley scene, right? Yeah, he's leaving, and he leaves Amy, and he's gonna take the shortcut or whatever. We don't ever see Jerry; we just see him go, no.
Right.
And that's another way of storytelling, right? Because then we have to guess,
right?
Okay, he's obviously changed. Is he going to be bad when we see him? Is he going to be good? But I really think that this was a more involved and kind of cooler way of doing it.
Definitely, it definitely made McLovin more of the Renfield character.
Yeah, right.
Like it really firmly established him as like, you are my acolyte.
That's
now,
right.
Right.
Yeah. Totally.
And it was funny, before we start talking about Fright Night 2, The New Blood, we also I'm just looking at the IMDb now, and I'm seeing the cast name, and I think Anton Yelchin.
Yeah.
You really got to hand it to him and McLovin and Imogen Poots.
Yes.
All the main kid actors except for asshole David Franco.
Right.
No, he did a good job too.
Guy.
Yeah. They all. What was cool about them is it was one of those things where it's like you can see smart, good acting, good directing.
Yeah.
Where in the original Fright Night is like this too. The teenagers are not annoying.
Right.
Where you get to Fright Night 2.
Right.
A little bit less accomplished director.
Yeah.
A little bit less talented cast.
Yeah.
You just can't wait for those teenagers
the
to die.
annoying level ratchets it up big time,
Yeah.
right?
So
like click, 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 click. Okay,
So-
annoying to the max.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So R.I.P. Anton Yelchin,
Yeah,
because
man, big time.
he was really great actor.
Super talented. He
Yep.
did some amazing work. I mean, speaking for myself, I fell in love with him in Terminator Salvation, right? Which had to be the first thing that I think I can remember seeing him in. And
just
he
was like
awesome.
He's a young Kyle Reese.
Yes, right. Right.
Mhm.
And then obviously
Chekhov.
Chekhov,
Yep.
yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really, really a terrible shame what happened.
Yeah, a good friend of mine that is one of probably our top listeners, because he's one of the people that will write huge messages about how awesome the show is. So he's a good guy.
Yes, totally. And thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We'll just refer to him as H-Man.
There we go, H-Man.
But H-Man had a good point, and he said that Anton Yelchin, isn't it strange how he played Kyle Reese in Terminator,
right? And
then later in real life, he was killed by a machine.
I know, right? Right.
Strange.
Insight. Total insight.
Yeah.
Yep.
But really, man, fantastic job by that cast. And they really, just within the first few minutes, in the mom too.
Yeah. She was great.
Everybody's just really established.
She was great.
And you're just like, okay, this is going to be fun.
Yep.
Because I don't have to be annoyed by annoying teenagers.
Right.
I can just enjoy the characters. I can enjoy the ride.
Totally.
And you lost it. It was funny because you lost it. I lost it too, but it was when they were driving away from Jerry, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's chasing after them.
I was just thinking about it. Yep.
And then I'm trying to remember. Let's see if I got it right. But I feel like didn't they run over him? Right.
Yes.
And then he punches through the bottom of the Jeep, right?
Yeah.
And then Charlie Brewster, he goes, doesn't he say something like, "Now do you fucking believe me, Mom?" or something like that? What does he say? Just lost it.
Yeah.
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 It's like, oh damn, like it's a vampire arm.
Yeah, the timing was perfect.
Right.
I mean, there's that's all. It's not so much the writing, even it's the timing.
It's the timing. Yeah.
You have to cut that just right.
Yeah.
But it was brilliant,
was
man. Stroke of it. Yeah. I mean, the editor and the director had to be there patting each other on the back.
It's like
we killed it right here. Yeah. Yeah.
And then right after that, we see the original.
Yes. Yes. Chris Sarandon is back.
Playing as JD.
What do you know? That's cute.
Right. And it's funny because you noticed it right away, and I couldn't recognize him, and I was like, oh my God, that is him.
Yep.
So he just kind of pops out of the car and is like, hey, is everything all right? He plays
his
that little cameo thing.
Yep. And then replenishes the new Jerry Dambridge by getting eaten.
That's right. Perfect. So perfect. Poetic.
Yeah.
So, just a lot of just really fun things happening in this movie. Can't say enough good things.
Right.
And by the time we meet Peter Vincent and we start to be like, okay, things are coming to a head now. His girlfriend is kidnapped.
Yep.
She's turned. There's that whole, which happens in every movie, the nightclub dance thing.
The nightclub montage.
Yeah. So that happens, and his girlfriend is bitten, and then we get led to the, this is where it fell apart for us.
Yeah, it really did. I mean, it was like everything was primed for, what you just have to assume is going to be this epic showdown, right? Mm-hmm. And man, the showdown was lame.
I wonder why that happened.
I don't know. I don't know. I think I think it has to be a combination. It wasn't any one thing. I don't think it was. Maybe it is. They just wrote it poorly, and so everything falls out from there. There's always that argument, right? But
I don't think it was
the gratuitous CG that happens there in the end. Kind of sucked.
And it feels like
the setting wasn't good.
Right. It feels like Colin Farrell wasn't there very much either.
Really?
I wonder, I wonder if there was some problem with him.
Colin Farrell face was there, but man, that was not good to look at.
I wonder if he was just like pulling one of his classic things where he's just like, you know what, I'm not gonna show up for the last couple weeks of this film. I don't care. I already did what I wanted to do.
Right.
Something like that, maybe.
I don't. Yeah.
Right?
I mean, totally. I don't know.
He one thing I think about him, which I liked him in too, grudgingly liked him, was do you remember that Terry Gilliam movie, the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus?
Oh yeah, and I didn't see it, so yep.
So that movie was a hot mess.
Yeah.
And just I love Terry Gilliam.
Me too, and we've Peter, we've had discussions for hours and hours.
Yeah.
Not on tape about how much we love Terry Gilliam.
Oh, just a genius, And this movie had the typical Terry Gilliam problems. Yeah. But then had the added problem of the main guy dying.
Right.
Like halfway into production, Heath Ledger, right?
Yes.
So they had to get Jude Law and Johnny Depp and Colin Farrell to kind of fill in this role. Which it's an interesting choice to do something like that.
Yeah, totally.
It's very artistic, It's like, I can admire it. I dig it.
Yep.
It's not. It doesn't make a lot of sense though.
Right.
I don't know why you would do that, really, from a practical standpoint or even as a storytelling standpoint. It just creates all kinds of problems, right?
Right.
But of all those actors though that came in to fill in for Heath Ledger, Colin Farrell was the only one I felt that was actually paying attention to how Heath Ledger played the character.
Oh, right.
And really was doing Heath Ledger. It wasn't an impression though either.
Yeah,
it was like he had synthesized and watched him so much that he could do a lot of little mannerisms and things like that.
Oh, that's
not in a cartoony way. You know?
Totally.
So I was like, this guy, he really is a good actor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Johnny Depp sailed through it with his I'm an English doing my English accent now. Hey, he just did his I hate Johnny Depp for that because I used to really like him as an actor too.
Right.
The last 20 years or something though, he's just done a fake English accent for everything.
Right.
And it
How
sucks.
How many fake English accents do you have, Johnny?
And it sucks too because every time he does it, he makes millions of dollars and the movies are huge sensations.
Yeah.
But nobody likes that.
Right.
I don't think so.
Right.
We like Jack Sparrow for maybe 1 or 2 movies. We don't want 8 movies of him though.
Right.
But
luckily we only have one Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Right. Yeah. That's right. And one where the buffalo roam. Too,
yes.
So.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
But and then Jude Law too, who was also like, just playing Jude Law.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to hand it to Colin Farrell. This guy can act.
Yeah.
He's a complete jerk.
Right.
But a lot of those great actors are Marlon Brando.
I know. Right.
Val Kilmer. Yep. Lots of them. The many people that were on Island of Dr. Moreau.
Yeah. That little tiny midget guy.
Yeah. Deep Roy, I think his name is, right?
Deep Roy.
Deep Roy.
Yes.
But yeah, so by the time we get to the end of this movie, though, Fright Night, it's starting to fall apart at the end there.
Yeah.
And it's too bad because it was just everything was working. They really needed that huge climax, and it would have been great.
Right.
Like we were saying before, it's so hard to top the climax of the original Fright Night, though, because
really
they
is.
just kill it.
It really is. And it's too bad that they didn't, maybe they did, because they didn't do some kind of shot for shot thing.
Yeah.
But it is, I think they probably were trying to satisfy too many conditions of the first one. Like, okay, it's got to be in the basement of Jerry's house, and we got to have the blacked out windows, and then we're going to do something down there that's scary, right? I think part of what made the whole first majority of the movie so good is that they weren't trying to recreate the original Fright Night, and they should have done that for the ending too. Yeah. They should have said, let's just do something different and something cool.
Totally.
And I think that would have been a better idea, because it definitely seems like they were chasing something there at the end, and nothing was working. Like, it just all of the components, you're like, oh, this is taking too long. These effects are lame. Why isn't
it wasn't even really, I mean, for how inspired and how great so many choices they made throughout the film.
Right.
This was totally out of character for the writers and everybody, because it was just kind of lazy.
Which makes me really think, like, because you know how they don't ever shoot anything in sequence, right? But this does feel like they were shooting it in sequence, and then they kind of got to the end and were just like, bah,
we're running out of time.
Stroke it and throw all this crap in there.
Yeah, because that whole thing with like all the naked acolytes in the basement.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
We've seen that before.
Right.
We've seen that like dozens of times.
I mean,
before.
Name it. Yeah. Naked space vampires. Come on.
Right. Just list them off, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's funny. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah.
I really don't.
I don't either. I do think it's that they wanted to do too many things, and they didn't get any one thing right at the end. They should have maybe picked like I think it should have been faster. Definitely, it shouldn't have been so drug out. That really took too long.
It could have even, one thing I was thinking about was wouldn't it have been interesting to see more of Las Vegas?
Yeah, right. Because we almost see none of Las Vegas. Really,
we really don't.
Really, and you're seeing it all from the outskirts, which was cool. I did like that, because it was kind of made it isolated, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can see here's the big city, all the glam and the glitz and everything. But it's only when they go to see Peter. That's the only time they're ever going into town.
Right.
Otherwise, the whole thing, school and everything, all of it's in the suburbs.
Yeah. So it feels like almost like one of those things where it's like if you show it, you better use it.
Yeah, right.
Right. That would have been a payoff for us, I think, to see. Maybe there should have been some huge fight scene.
Leprechaun 3, Leprechaun in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
They were in Las Vegas.
That's right. But I mean, what a great environment, right? Like,
yeah, totally.
They could have had a killer end scene where they're just getting chased through Las Vegas or something, or who knows? But
heck yeah,
it would have been expensive as hell, probably. But, still, yeah, I don't know. It's unfortunate, but it wasn't unfortunate enough so that the second one was not greenlit.
Right. Good point. Now, as we just found out 5 minutes before we started this episode, according to IMDb, it seems that the sequel, Fright Night 2, New Blood, was straight to video.
Straight to video. Yep.
Which neither of us were aware of.
Yeah.
And having seen it, that's a little bit of a shocker.
It is,
because it had really high production values, and
really
it absolutely could have been in the movies.
Definitely.
I mean, to compare it, I'll just pick something even more recent, which was the Friday the 13th reboot. That was in the theaters, and I couldn't even sit through that. It was so freaking boring. I was gonna kill myself.
Right.
I was like 5 minutes in. I hate every single person I've seen so far. I can't listen to you whine for 90 minutes.
Yes.
Sorry, off.
Yep.
And I don't want our listeners to think that I don't give movies a chance, man. I've sat through hundreds of Roger Corman movies and loved every minute.
Yeah.
Right? I've sat through probably nearly every single William Shatner movie. I love every minute, even the bad ones.
Yep.
But
it's a testament to your patience, man.
Dude.
Yeah. How many William Shatner pauses can you sit through and enjoy it? Yeah.
Yes.
I know. I'm with you. Yeah. No, it's true. This movie, both of us were remarking how we kind of really like the director in this.
Yeah, man, really.
The color choices, the cinematography.
Yeah.
The way he told the story was actually interesting.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like straight to video schlock.
Right.
This guy cared about what he was making.
No doubt. Yep.
The unfortunate thing for us, the way we felt, I think, was the casting was just off. Yeah. Except for Jerry Danebridge.
Right.
With a G.
Yes. Yeah. She was very good.
She was very good.
Yeah.
And, I was looking at pictures of her when I was putting together the slideshow for the previous episode. And I was like, you know what? She actually even looks a lot like the girl from part 2, the original part 2.
Oh, yeah.
There is kind of that parallel.
Right.
Just her face.
The actress from In the Mouth of Madness.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's kind of a cool choice. That was nice.
Yeah.
And she was really commanding and creepy and
she did what your vampire character has to do, which is have command presence, right?
Yes.
They have to be in control anytime they're in the situation, and she did that as good really as any of them. You know,
definitely.
Chris Sarandon had such a cool spin on it because it was always that like bordering that dark humor.
Yeah.
And it just made you totally uneasy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he really killed it. But she did that where it was like she was in the room and she was in complete control, right? Nobody else had anything else going on, and that's not a necessarily easy thing to do.
No, exactly. And also to make you feel, you know, I think her and Chris Sarandon both made you, which I love about good vampire movies. They make you think like, maybe I could see this person being alive for centuries.
Yeah,
you
right.
know? There's something. Right. There's a little Highlander magic there.
Yeah,
you know?
totally.
Colin Farrell didn't really feel that way though.
Right.
He was too cool and too smooth and too like.
Right.
You know, you're like, I don't know how he could have gone through the 1700s.
There didn't feel anything ancient about it.
Yeah.
Right. He didn't have that ancient savvy.
Yeah. Whereas she really did. She had that ancient savvy. Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
And out of the kids, I think the evil Ed guy. Yeah. His name is Chris Walker.
Yes.
He was better one out of those, I think.
Yeah. He was really, you know, I mean, hate to say they're going for that teenage crowd and aesthetic. But that's what they were asking him to do. And so he actually does that very well, right? And he does the boisterous, loud, overbearing sidekick.
Yep.
And here's the thing, right? He's the first Ed who is actually a total confidant and friend with the Brewster character.
That's right. Yeah.
They're not antagonistic at all against each other, right? You can tell there's a little bit of that, like, you know, you rub each other the wrong way, but in the way that friends do, not in the way that enemies do.
Right.
And so, and especially when Jerry gets kind of that complex for leaving him on the subway to get killed, you know, did I say Jerry? Charlie. Charlie has a real hang up because he's got that, like, I've got to get the hell out of here. And he bails on his buddy and leaves him on the subway to get turned into a bad guy.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, and
where it's like we almost see that in the first one. You know, Charlie doesn't ever show any remorse about Ed getting changed, but Peter Vincent does, right? Because he's the one
that
has to kill him, right? Has to get him turned back and watch him morph back into a kid, and then he's like, oh, you know, freaked out about it. But
yeah, you're right. But Charlie Brewster could care less.
Right. Don't call me evil. You're so cool, Brewster.
Yeah, and also, you know, that's something I would feel like if I was playing Evil Ed, I would really try to prevail on the director. Give me that line, you know?
Right.
I want to do that too, because that's so important to his character.
Yes, it is.
McLovin didn't do it. This guy didn't do it. There's no.
There's
no over.
There's.
As if, I mean, like, there's no way you could compete to the original.
Well, that's not what you're trying to do, right? No. What you're trying to do is to connect the movies, which is very different.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And even if he said it in just like a totally sarcastic, not in that over the top way that Stephen Jeffries did, but if he just said like, "You're so cool, Brewster," or something, you know, it's kind of a one-liner trick. Yeah. But it is cool because it gives you continuity now.
Yeah.
Between the first and the fourth movie.
Yeah.
So I agree with you that.
Yeah.
But you know, Peter, not everybody has your awesome. Your awesome vocal skills and doing impersonations, particularly of the man Anud.
Well, let me just say though, I think that I want to talk about Peter Vincent in this one though.
Okay, yes.
Because we were not very impressed with him.
No. He was weak.
Yep. And it was funny because you know, he could have done a good job. I think he has the potential. I think seeing him in the strip club to start off with,
right.
Well, no, actually, you see him yelling at his crew member.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Shooting his
doing his
reality
little,
TV show.
His little ghost hunter show.
Yeah.
Which I thought, that's kind of a cool idea.
Yeah.
But you instantly hate his guts, though.
Right.
He's just a complete jerk,
Right.
And then,
which is a mistake, because I think when you're introducing that character, you have to want to be on his side. Yep. And the director and the writer here did the exact opposite.
Yep.
They made, as a viewer, we're antagonistic against him.
Right.
And so then why do we want him on our team?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's nothing charming.
And it seems like
funny.
they're chasing that for the rest of the movie, trying to get you to like him. And it's like, he's always running away, and he doesn't, until push comes to shove, right? He doesn't like get on board.
Yeah. And there's never really a moment where you're like, now I like him. He's cool,
Yeah. And he's a mercenary too, right? The only reason that Charlie is able to get him on board is, or Charlie and Ed, is that Ed, we're to assume, is kind of a rich kid, right?
Yeah.
And he's just going to throw money at him.
He's going to give him like $3,000.
Here's $3,000, just do it, right? And he's like, oh, okay, I'll do it. Well, that makes your character even weaker, right?
Exactly.
You're a dog soldier. That's what's to like about that.
There's nothing in that. And what we saw with the other Peter Vincents is for as slimy as they got, they always had some redeeming quality, though.
Right.
Where you could see, like, okay, they are going to stand up for what's right.
That's right.
Or with the David Tennant case, it was like you mentioned earlier. This is a character I play to cover up the real me, because I'm neck deep into it, but I don't want people to know that. And
it shows his vulnerability.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And you're
totally.
like, okay, I understand now why he acts like a jerk.
Yeah. Right.
This guy, you never understood why he was a jerk. You just thought, well, he likes to drink and he likes strippers and he likes money.
Right. Right.
Not really doing much to charm me.
That's exactly it. Yeah. Now he does have that big cross tattoo.
Yeah.
Which they didn't really ever explain.
Right. That also didn't make sense.
Maybe that hit the cutting floor.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So these decisions are all things that happen in movies that are low budget.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And they are reasons
they're
why
compromises,
we start to hate them.
That's right.
Right. Because I think everybody, when you sit down, you always want to like the movie.
That's right.
And there's so many times where you're just like, I want this to work. I want to believe.
Right.
And when they do everything to not even help you believe in them, or not even give you a bone as to like why I should like this character.
Right.
The girlfriend.
Yeah.
Perfect example.
Yes. The best
there was
example.
nothing about her to like.
Right. And unfortunately,
she got so annoying. She got more and more annoying.
That's right. And it's like, and you can't, it's easy for us to pick on the actress, right? But here's the thing. Nobody except the director and the editor know how much footage hits the floor in the cutting room, right? And so it's not for, the actor is there to do what the director says. And so what I'm getting at is the make that face.
Yeah.
In this movie, the director is asking her to make the ridiculous vampire face, right? And for how many times we saw it in the movie, there had to be 3 times that many takes of it, right? And that's not her fault.
It's not her fault.
But it is the director and the editor's fault, especially in the big bathtub of blood scene, when they go, okay, make the face, okay, make the face, okay, make the face. And the editor just keeps going back to it, man. It's like, oh, you're killing me with that, dude.
Oh, man.
You got to put that stuff on like Tabasco sauce, right? Because right now we're drinking it out of the bottle with the lid off. It's no good. It's no good.
Definitely.
You took something that could have been good, and now it's nasty.
Oh, it's so true. It's so true. And I think we do need to blame the actress a little bit here, though, because Imogen Poots, and the original, girlfriend,
what's her name from
Married with Children,
yes,
both of them, they were attractive girls, but they also offered you something else other than I'm an attractive girl.
Yes, that's
there was
right.
Other layers that they played with.
Yeah, yep.
Just by the way they read the lines, by the way they act, by the way they look, they move their head, their mannerisms.
That's right.
There are so many ways I feel like for them to project a character that are not written on the page. You know?
Right. Sure.
Whereas this,
sure. And that's good acting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And then this actress, I mean, you're exactly right. I think she just did exactly what the director kept telling her to do.
Yeah, yeah.
And she never thought beyond that. You
Right.
know? Like, how can I make this more interesting for people?
Right.
You know?
Right.
Because you just couldn't wait for her to die.
Right.
You know?
Please kill her.
And Charlie Brewster too. He
know.
is equally to be as blamed.
Yeah. That, especially that once it gets to that whole I keep referring to the bathtub scene. It's kind of the climax where everything happens, right? Yeah. But so now he's a vampire and she's a vampire. Well, kill them both then. Right. Let them all kill each other. And then have Peter Vincent go back to the strip club, and let's watch more of that. Let's watch more of strippers have the face of total disgust shot.
Those strippers. The part we're talking about is earlier on. We have to set this up because this was probably our favorite part.
It was really.
Yeah. So this is the whole. We're trying to convince Peter Vincent to join us to stop Jerry Danbridge scene, right?
Yes.
And each movie has this scene.
That's right.
But
right.
In this scene, he's in the backstage of the strip club.
Yes.
And the strippers are just standing around in the background. You got 4, 5, 6 strippers.
Yep.
Which I may add, they weren't the best looking strippers either. I mean, if you're gonna make a movie with strippers in it, you should find some like the best strippers. You
would think,
and you would think that the best strippers would want to be in a movie,
right?
But
I
this
guess
guy,
it says something about Romania's stock of strippers.
There wasn't much to choose from in Romania that week. Because they couldn't care. These strippers couldn't care less. Yeah. These strippers, the expressions they give when you watch this movie.
Yes.
Look at the expressions they give. It will be like looking in a mirror. Right. They are doing the expression that you are doing as you're watching this. utter disgust.
How long is this going to take?
Please, can I go home now? I want to kill myself. I want to snort a mountain of cocaine and shoot myself.
Yes.
And that's
it's like the director, as he's giving his, he's telling his actors what he's doing. He's like, okay, you strippers in the back there. Okay, I want you to look off camera with total disgust, and like all you want to do is not be here. Okay, ready, go.
And they nailed it.
They killed it.
It was they were just so out of place that you just couldn't not watch them either.
Right. Oh, I know. That's too bad, right? I mean, that really wrecks the scene when you're obviously not actors, your extras are like stealing it.
And they stole it. Like you could care less what Peter Vincent is talking about with, it was just, it was.
I am in, I'm not in. I do care, I don't care. No one cares, Peter.
Who cares? Yeah, and that Charlie Brewster in this one, he's the same as the girlfriend. We're just like, I just want you guys to just go, please, just leave, because you're both equally as annoying. And it's not fun. You made this point when we were watching Dagon, which I think was very smart. It's basically when you have a main character, and he's a weakling all the time,
right? You
start to really kind of wish that he'll get crushed, so at the very least he'll stop whining.
Right, exactly.
Put him out of his misery.
Right. It's a real mistake to have your audience become antagonistic against the person who you want them to root for.
Yes.
Right. That's a roller coaster you don't want to be on. And luckily in Dagon, that character does rebound, right? They do a good job of having him being like, dude, you suck. To having that turning moment where he's like, okay, now I've got to save the day. And cool. So now now we're getting behind him, right? But that's much harder to do with teenagers, unless maybe you're a sympathetic teenager, and so you're like, you can root for them. As a contemporary or as an equal, but as old farts who have seen thousands of movies, it's very difficult for us to get on the whiny teenager bandwagon, which I think is the overarching thing that we're getting to talking here, is that the one character that I think we rooted for the most was the bad girl, was Jerry Danbridge, right?
Definitely.
because she was the one who was in control,
Mm-hmm.
and she was the one calling all of the shots in the movie.
Yeah.
Right.
And she was charming too.
Right.
You know, for as
Right.
evil as she was, she
Right.
she did things that were interesting or
Right.
unexpected.
Right.
Or just
Right.
different.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Not schlocky,
Yeah.
which that would have killed her character if she was
Mhm.
schlocky and cheesing it up.
Mhm.
Not at all.
Not
you
at
know,
all.
or if she was just a dirtbag like
Mhm.
Peter Vincent's character. Peter Vincent, they just kind of blew it on his character.
really
They could have really done something different
Mm-hmm.
to make his character more likable, which would have made up for Charlie being such a twat. You know.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I feel. I think that's the writer's fault here, because it's a very one-dimensional reading of those characters.
Yeah.
To just be like, Peter Vincent is the guy who doesn't want to help out. He's qualified, but he doesn't want to help out.
Yeah. Right.
And just do that, you know.
Right.
Or Charlie Brewster.
Exactly.
He's the only one that believes that she's a vampire. Nobody else will believe him.
Yeah.
Go.
Right.
And then just do that one note for the entire movie. You know?
Right. Yeah.
All the other Charlie Brewsters.
Yep.
They offered you so much more.
Yep.
So much more character, so much more, likable moments,
Mm-hmm.
moments where you didn't like them, just other things.
Yeah.
To make them more of a fully realized character.
Right.
And that's what we hate as moviegoers, I think, is
Right.
is to just be like, here is a cardboard character that you're
Yeah.
serving up for us.
Yep.
And now they're going to act exactly how we expect them to act in this situation.
Right.
Which is constantly be like,
Right.
oh my God, for an hour and a half.
Yep. Yeah.
No thanks.
It's happening again.
No one will believe me.
Yeah. Yeah. Even in the first Fright Night, part of what made that Charlie Brewster character work so well is the hamminess of that character.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That gets substituted with this Charlie Brewster character in the whiny weakling. I don't know how to make a good decision.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie Brewster.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
well,
There's nothing.
There's nothing. There's admirable's not the right
Yeah.
word, but it's not. That's not. You're not getting your hooks into me as a viewer.
Right. There's just nothing real there.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, Anton Yelchin yelling at his mom when the hand crawls, smashes through. That's what you would do.
Right.
You'd be like, now do you believe me, Mom?
Right.
I mean, it's perfect.
Yeah.
That's a whiny teenager thing to say,
Right.
but we love it.
Right.
Because it's real.
Because it's real. Yeah.
So
true.
yeah. So I mean, a lot of things, probably all comes down to just a lot of inexperience on everybody's part.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of potential.
Yeah,
I would say
totally.
that for everybody in this film, and
Totally,
the director too.
totally.
I'm not just being nice.
Yeah.
Because who cares? We can be as mean as we want.
That's right.
But there were moments where you saw glimmers of like,
Yeah.
oh, they're making some interesting choices here.
Definitely. Location, I mean, shooting it in Bucharest, great. It was cool. They had some really cool old giant
Yes.
buildings,
That history.
The location shots were really good. And like you said, the color was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know who the cinematographer was,
Right.
but dude, props to that guy, because there were some really grandiose, awesome, very, very good use of color, especially, in the scene that we're making the fun of the most with the bathtub of blood or whatever. The color in that scene is killer.
Yeah,
it's
it
great.
really was.
It's
Yeah.
really so it's not all unlikable, and there's a lot of great night shots too. A lot of great night shots. You're in Bucharest, it's snowing, and you're on the
Yes.
street. They really, really captured that
Mm-hmm.
pretty awesomely. The subway scenes are a little bit more cheesy with the kind of like 80s phony graffiti on everything.
Yeah.
Trying to go for like 1979 Charles Bronson New York City subway.
Yeah.
That was a little bit cornball,
Right,
I thought.
right,
but
right. But then maybe that's what the train looks like in Romania.
that's a good point. Maybe they didn't even do that on purpose. Good point.
I doubt it, but yeah.
Yeah.
The cinematographer was Yaron Levi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. Props to
So,
Yaron Levi.
Yeah. I felt the same way. There was a lot of moments where I remember even thinking like, wow, this looks this reminds me a little bit of that great movie, The Cell.
Oh,
with D'Onofrio and J-Lo.
yeah, sure.
And that director is, do you know his name?
No.
Yes, Tarsem Singh.
Tarsem
Singh.
Sorry. Yeah.
Tarsem
Yep.
Singh, Yep. Yeah, great director.
Totally.
Really, really smart color choices. And this movie had a lot of those kind of things where it's just like this really rich, saturated spookiness.
Yeah,
you know?
definitely.
He hit it. But yeah, like, other than those little things, though, there's really not too many good things we can say.
Yeah, and one thing too. I don't know if this is a huge deal, but this, I think, there's only one vampire.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
You're right.
There weren't any other until Charlie and Amy get turned.
Yep. And Evil Ed.
And Ed, yeah. But it's just her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's different.
That is different.
So every other movie, you had at least, in the case in the first one, you've got Jerry and you've got his goon, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then in the second one,
you had a pack of them.
Yeah, there was a whole ton of them, right? The awesome.
Yeah.
The awesome, the brat pack of vampire goons, and
they should have done a bowling scene in this one.
They should have.
That would have saved it, I think. Yeah, isn't it interesting too to think that the originals, you had part 1 and part 2, right?
Yeah.
And they were continuing the story.
Yes.
Whereas this one is, you got Fright Night,
right?
And then now it's another reboot. Really.
That's right. It's another retelling.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. We're keeping the characters of Jerry and Charlie and Peter and Ed and Amy.
Yeah.
But we're gonna totally redo it. Yeah. That was.
That's
it's
an
kind
odd
of
choice.
it's a third telling of the original story. So you've got the original story, then you've got the Anton Yelchin version, and then you've got this version.
Right. So then why call it Fright Night Part 2? You know.
Because it's new blood.
The new blood.
Which actually means telling it again.
Yeah. Right.
Obviously.
Wait, though, there's another meaning, right? Because the whole bubble or the whole bloodbath at the end. That's full of new blood.
Right? Okay. Okay.
No.
Yeah,
I don't think so. I don't think they were thinking that far ahead.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
So not a terrible movie. I mean,
not a terrible movie, though.
It's not like garbage or anything like that. I know we've been super critical of this one, whereas we were hardly critical of the first 3. But
no, that's a really good point, because there are so many straight-to-video horror movies.
Yeah.
We could go on and on about Charles Band.
Oh my goodness.
Who's made an entire career out of straight-to-video horror movies.
You could spend years just studying Charles Band and then never want to watch another movie again ever.
Was it Full Moon or is it Anchor Bay? I think it's Full Moon.
Full Moon. Yeah.
Yeah. Yikes.
Yeah.
No. Tough. And it's tough too, because his brother Richard Band did the music for Reanimator.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think he worked with Stuart Gordon a few times.
Yeah.
So there is talent in the bands.
Right. You know, if you need your Gary Busey fix, you can go watch all 10 Ginger Dead Mans, and then all 12 or 15 Doll Mans, or not Doll Mans, Puppet Master, but one of which was Puppet Master versus Doll Man.
Yeah, right.
So Doll Man, Puppet Master versus Doll Man.
And then what you were telling me the other day is their real cash cow, though, was Child's Play.
Yeah. Yep.
What was that other? Oh, I had a really weird brain thing happen right now, because I was saying Child's Play.
Yep.
And then I was thinking Problem Child. In my head.
Like, wait a minute, how could that have been him?
That's a way different movie.
Yeah.
But that does have one of our favorites, John Ritter.
Man. Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
John Ritter versus Brad Dourif, the movie, in an alternate universe.
Yes, man. Okay, so now we have. Hold on a second. Brad Dourif.
Yeah.
And Stephen Dorff.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Yeah, so Stephen Dorff is the guy from Blade.
That's right.
The first Blade.
Yeah. And The Gate. which
and
we
the
were
gate.
talking about earlier.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's absolutely right. Yep.
Which
much
may
younger,
be that may be our next episode, or at least one of the upcoming episodes.
Yes,
soon.
it's totally in the running.
Yeah. Brad Dourif. Yeah, he's which we like to talk about a lot is in the X-Files.
Yep.
As a very, very sweaty prisoner.
Yes.
He does a fantastic job.
Yep. Oh man. I won't say that he's underrated. I think a lot of people know about how good he is, but such a great character actor, right? He's really a great character actor.
Definitely.
You want Wormtongue?
Oh,
Pow! There you got Wormtongue.
Nails it.
You want insert awesome role that he's played, and he's played so many
great ones,
and he can play straight ones too, like the Rob Zombie, the 2 Rob Zombie Halloween reboots. He was the main cop in that.
Wow!
And so he can play straight roles just fine.
Yeah, he was. I always think about him in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Man. That was his defining role.
Man, he's so young in that too, right?
Yeah,
but he just, he just looks like he's on the verge of breaking down any second.
Yeah. And then when he does, it's like it's a crying moment.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he's one of the greats.
Yep.
Stephen Dorff hasn't shown us quite as much as Brad
Blade
Dourif has.
1.
But Blade 1, all right. Yeah.
Not to pick on the guy, sorry. No. I keep saying that because I love that movie.
It is great. There's a lot of great bloodbaths in that movie, too.
Oh, yeah. That movie was real good. Talking about vampire movies, of course, this is how we'll connect our Blade conversation in. But that was really cool about that idea of when you kill them, they just turn into ashes, right? That was really the first movie.
Yes.
They did it, and unfortunately, they did it with a lot of style, a lot of that kind of Matrix, CG's getting good style, and it's been knocked off so many which ways but loose, and so poorly more often than not.
Yep.
But the Blade franchise was really the start of that. Yeah, and I really like too that the vampires in that are kind of like this Illuminati. They're not just the dark underworld. They're like the world leaders of the dark underworld.
Yep.
And
it makes sense.
That was always pretty cool. Yeah.
Well, that idea is really similar to Highlander too, right?
Because
if you're around for centuries,
right,
you amass wealth and power,
right.
What are you gonna do?
And you're integrated into every single aspect of culture, right? How can you not be? Without being a hermit. Yeah.
So, in future Highlander movies, they should have Highlander versus vampires. That would be great. Why don't they do that?
Agreed. Immortals versus immortals. The good immortal.
Instead, we just stuck with seeing Christopher Lambert fighting Adrian Paul.
Adrian
Paul, yeah. Oh, did you see that last Highlander movie?
No.
Endgame?
I know.
Oof.
No, I'm totally from the... I wanted to watch that so many times, and every time I just couldn't do it. I was like, no. I got other things. I have wood to cut.
There is a good example of a straight to video.
Yeah.
That they really Fright Night 2, The New Blood.
Yes.
Way better, miles better than that movie.
Oh man.
That was a tough one.
Yeah.
That was a tough one.
Yeah.
Just to go further on this aside.
Yeah.
I love the Highlander movies.
Me
too. You do too. Yeah.
Me too, Peter.
And we love Connor McLeod.
Yes.
Great character. Christopher Lambert.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Queen. The Kurgan. We love all of it. But Christopher Lambert specifically, I really liked how he played that character in the first Highlander.
Me too.
Right?
Yes.
By the time you get to Highlander Endgame,
right,
you want him to die.
Yeah. Yep.
That's bad.
No doubt.
No
doubt.
Do you know how bad? Like when you already like a character from the get-go.
Yeah.
The movie hasn't even started yet, and you already like them.
Right.
You know who they are, and you like them. That's such a huge advantage for a movie to have.
Yep.
To be like, I don't even have to spend time establishing why you should like them.
Right.
You like them already.
Right.
For
Han Solo, right? I mean, yeah.
For them to later now to use the entire movie to show you why you should hate them.
Yeah.
That's not a good choice to make.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. No thanks.
Goodness.
Yeah.
I remember when part 2 came out. Me and my buddy Jerry were so stoked, and watching that kind of in disbelief, like,
what's happening?
what is going on, right? We were young. We were probably in like I don't know, 7th grade, I guess, when that came out. Maybe I'm guessing 7th, 8th grade.
Yeah, the
That
quickening.
was just like we're just like banging our heads, like, dude.
Even
So
when
they got flying skateboards,
Yes.
like in Back to the Future, right?
they got one of the guys from Return to Oz
Yeah.
to ride it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
One of those skating dudes with the hair,
Yes,
right?
that's it.
It's the same thing.
Yeah. 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 It was exactly
Yeah.
the same thing. That we got this laying around.
Yeah.
Let's use that.
That looks cool.
Gosh, man.
Yeah, man. So
Yeah.
And then even when they tried to make it fun and cool, like remember when they got in the car, Sean Connery and him got in the car,
Yeah.
and then they just like storm the building, and then they just get shot like 5,000 times with Uzis. Even then,
Yeah.
when you're
Yeah.
a kid and you're watching that, you're just like, I'm
Yeah.
bored.
Yep. Yeah.
So they're getting shot 5,000 times. Whatevs.
But it's like there was so much cool stuff in the first one.
Yeah.
And it's like you want cool stuff in the second
Yes.
one. And
But,
then
you
it
know-
just makes you want it's like going from regular drink to diet drink.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
like, oh, this isn't as good.
It's
as
so
the
true.
regular drink.
But I think you nailed it though when you said Queen,
Yeah.
because I think Queen is really carrying a lot of
Oh
that.
yeah.
I mean,
Agreed.
they're
Emotion wise, the roller
emotion
coaster they put you on, big
and
time, man.
and the epicness, the hugeness of that movie.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
take Queen out of the original
That's right.
Highlander,
That's right.
not too much happens. It feels like, right?
Very true. Yeah. Yeah.
Or it
yeah.
doesn't happen to this scale, but
Right.
like Queen is just like it's
Oh,
like
man.
adding full choirs. Yeah, It's like- it's like punching in Richard Wagner's Ring of the Nibelung. You know, like you can't. you talk about like let's just amp it up. You know,
Man, yeah.
without Queen doing that for your
Yep.
Highlander movie, man,
Yep.
it's not gonna work the same way.
Yep.
One
Agreed.
other thing about that though is, have you seen the animated sequel that they did?
No, I know of it.
think
I
it was
almost
like-
bought it at Target one day.
Yeah, because it's
And
like
I-
$2 or something.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I was like,
actually though
Was it
one
good?
of the better.
It looked good. The
Yeah.
animation looked
Yeah.
good, and so
It-
that's half the battle.
Right, and even story wise though,
Yeah.
like out of all the Highlander sequels,
Mm-hmm.
it's got to be.
Was
It may be
better?
the best. It may be the best Highlander sequel.
Yeah.
You know, as sad as that is,
Right.
yeah, it actually had like a story that's kind of made sense, and the animation was good.
Yeah. Good.
And they didn't resort to, of course they didn't resort to using Connor McLeod, but of course they had to use the McLeod clan, because
Yeah.
for some reason all these immortals are being born from the McLeod clan. You know.
Right.
Got all these other
or-
clans to choose
yeah,
from, but
yeah.
he's got to have the last name McLeod.
Yes. Yeah.
No, that I recommend that, people.
Cool.
Watch that one. I think it's called Spirit of Vengeance or Sword of
Mhm.
Vengeance or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Spirit of Vengeance is Ghost Rider, right?
Oh yes.
So
good
maybe-
catch, Pete.
Maybe
Yeah.
it's Sword of Vengeance.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. I'm not going to bother to look it up.
Yeah, no.
Because it would cost us more money to look it up than the movie's actually than actually buying the movie.
Take that.
Take that.
Man.
But yeah, so now, Dr. K, we're coming to
Yeah.
the end of our Fright Night
We are.
franchise.
Man. See, people, we deliver on our promises.
We told you. Here we are. Here we sit.
Yes.
Months and months, weeks and weeks later.
And just think, we could have chosen
Mhm.
to do Friday the 13th, which
Oh.
there's like 14 of, right?
We
Or
would-
13 of.
We would be here
Or-
on like year 3.
Yeah.
Year 3 of the
Like,
franchise.
now we're going to get to Jason Takes Manhattan. Talk about it for 4 hours. We're just going to read the script to you.
Yeah. We could do that. We can do that. That still might be an option.
Yes.
We can try. No, I'm glad we chose the Fright Nights though.
Me
I
too.
think,
Me
I think
too.
it's an interesting. It's great because I love it because it is for people that like horror.
That's right. Yeah.
It's such
You're
a go-to
absolutely
movie.
right.
It's
Yeah.
such a go-to movie.
Yeah.
Everything we love about horror is in
Yes.
Fright Night. You know?
Yes. And, you know, people, we're going to hear us harp on this all the time, people, but it's because there is truth in our words. For how plastic and tchotchke the decade of the 1980s could be at times, and sometimes over the top plastic, you meant.
Oh, definitely.
Very, very synthetic.
The age of excess.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was the golden age for horror movies. It really was the golden age, and for a couple of reasons. Firstly, practical effects were peaking in the 80s, right? So they had been building and getting good. Arguably, I would argue, with The Exorcist was the first step. 1970, The Exorcist opens the doors for what special effects are going to be able to do. Yeah. Then riding the coattails of things like Star Trek, the motion picture, and Star Wars, practical effect really, really started to ratchet itself up. And we see the culmination of that happen in the 1980s. And so the horror movies, as much as any other genre, really got to cash in on this. You know, I mean, and that's not to knock sci-fi by any means, but we're here to talk about horror movies.
Yeah.
So
Right. Well, and I think you bring up a good point, because I think in horror there's more license to go more extreme than
absolutely
in sci-fi,
right.
Right?
Absolutely right.
So they really could test out a lot of experimental shit.
That's right. Because
sci-fi, you're always up against this. It's got to look good though.
Yeah.
Because it's got to be believable.
Right. The suspension of disbelief is very different in sci-fi. Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Whereas horror,
man, right. No, it's no hold barred if you can do it right. If you do it right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And even if it looks fakey or something, it's okay, because then maybe people will laugh.
Right. Guilty.
Yeah. Whereas sci-fi, though, you don't want people to laugh ever.
Man.
Really? Or,
right.
Or you want them to laugh with the characters.
Yeah,
in the movie.
but that's different though.
Yeah.
that's different than failing.
That's
right. Yeah.
You never laugh at Han Solo.
Right.
You laugh at Jabba the Hutt in the when they inserted him in Star Wars. But that's another
we're gonna
story.
have you step on this not character who's there, and he'll go, that'll be funny.
No.
Great idea. Do it.
No.
Ah, dang it, George! Come on, man.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I ran into your horror tirade.
Sorry. Just talking about what was
the effects coming into their own.
Yeah, and why Fright Night is so good, right? It's an expose on what was great about what was going on in the 1980s with horror movies, and how, you know, it's good to see things come back around, because we're seeing some really great. We're seeing directors and producers have to take chances now to go back to practical effects and how awesome they are, because their industry has moved away from it.
Yes. And
and I don't mean to attack the people who are CG artists out there, and I know that you've got a job and that's important, but for as a lover of music, a lover of movies, I think there's a storytelling aspect that I would like to see survive, just as claymation has been able to survive. I think practical effect, it would be nice to see that survive also.
Definitely, and we're seeing it come back.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's cool because a lot of people now that are making movies are the guys that had been seeing this stuff when they were a kid.
That's right.
And they're like, that's the good stuff.
That's right.
We want to make stuff like that.
Yeah. Yep.
So now you're seeing Stranger Things, and you're seeing Void, and you're seeing this whole class of 84 or summer of 84. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. All these people that are going back and referencing the 80s, because there was so much good shit happening.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. And it's interesting. I want to ask you this, though, is do you think that horror was so popular, particularly in the 80s, because of the political situation too?
I think that's a big part of it. Yeah.
And I think that's what we're seeing that now too.
That's right.
With the political situations we're in now, right?
Right.
Where it's like
we have to know that the horror of reality has
there's worse things than this.
Yeah, totally. There's you want to be able to escape into something else, but that is to say that Reaganism was horror of the 80s a reflection of Reaganism?
Yeah.
Definitely, man. And the
Yeah.
Cold War, too. As much as
Yes.
Reaganism, I think the Cold War had a huge part to do with it, especially with things like Paranoia, which is an integral part to telling horror movies.
Yes.
The Thing, our go-to movie. I mean, that just is an expose in Paranoia, right?
Definitely.
And Paranoia was raging something fierce when that movie came out with the Cold War
Yep.
and Reagan taking office and all of that stuff. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. So it really is kind of a renaissance now.
Yep.
Of great horror movies being made now.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because I mean the '90s, man, the '90s.
Man,
really
dude,
suffered.
the '90s were a testing ground. I
Yeah.
think there were so many things like we got all these new toys and we got to figure out how to use them. That we kept getting Twister over and over again,
You're right.
over and over. I can only see Twister once, people. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And,
oh God, yeah.
you know, it was just there are plenty of good movies we can cherry pick out.
Yeah.
But I think as a whole, the '90s were kind of a grinder.
Really
you know,
were. It was just one disaster movie after the next.
man,
right?
dude.
Yeah.
It was Leprechaun 4 over and over again. Leprechaun in Space. Sorry, let me get my
Yes.
my title correct here.
Yes.
Leprechaun in Space.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting to see now what's going to be next, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Man, and we not even in movies though too. We also had that was when Stephen King just kicked the doors down too, man.
Goodness.
In the '80s, right?
Yeah. Yep.
That was his peak.
He
Man.
was killing it.
Yeah.
Right.
And now who do we have? That's Stephen King category.
Stephen King.
Stephen King.
Nothing's changed.
And his kids too. And
Yeah.
Joe Hill and
Yeah.
True. He hasn't stopped.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and then that's what's nice to see now too with the remakes of all of his or the reboots even of a lot of his classics like It. And,
Definitely.
I mean, I think they're starting to. Whatever happened to that show? Did you ever watch that? I think it was on Hulu or something, but it was.
I didn't.
It was all about his Derry, Maine.
Oh,
city.
yeah.
Yeah, and it was all these short stories.
Oh,
just based
man.
on, I
I'll
forget
have to
what
go
it was
find
called.
it.
Yeah. I haven't heard much about it though. I don't know what happened. But yeah, man, Fright Night.
Totally.
Night. What else can we say about Fright Night?
It's awesome.
Mm-hmm. And the second one is awesome.
Go see it. Yeah, if you can find the second one, good luck. You know, we had to bend some rules to find a copy.
That's just sad.
And it is. It's kind of pathetic, really. But yeah, for all of you treasure hunters out there, Fright Night 2 is a serious treasure to be uncovered if you can get your hands on a copy.
It's a fun one.
Super fun. And as a whole, as a whole, it's really good. It's good vampire fun. The only advice I would give: watch them in order.
Yeah.
Start at the beginning and work your way down.
Yep.
Because otherwise you'll be super bummed if you don't see the first one first, because you're gonna go back to the first one and be like, "Dang it! I should have saw that first."
Yeah. Good point.
Because it really does. It's the Fright Night by which to compare Fright Nights. I would say.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And now I want to talk about what I really wanted to talk about was Stone Cold.
Oh,
which I have not seen yet.
Dang it!
I know. Last episode I said I'm going to see this right now.
Yes.
And I have wanted to. It's just life gets in the way.
It does.
But, it won't for long.
Next episode, we're going to say, here it is. We're going to do Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but really we're going to talk about Stone Cold the whole time.
Right. Because we want to have dinner with the Boz. Look for that. Look for that little commercial out there.
Yes.
The contest.
The contest.
Yeah.
When your chance to have dinner with the Boz, and I think, and it was a jacket, right? You want a replica of the jacket that he wore.
What a prize, man! Amazing. Yeah. So I will see that soon, and I will mark my words.
Yes.
We'll have a little conversation about that.
Oh my goodness! Maybe we should just do an episode on Lance Henriksen, and then that will be our major. That'll be the main talking point.
That would be That's a good idea, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have,
He's a gateway to so many good movies. And
could we use Aliens as a horror movie?
oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I think we could. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a handful, I think, of sci-fi movies that really do bend the rules on being as much one as the other. And I mean, especially the first Alien. If the first Alien isn't a horror movie, I don't know what any horror movie ever was.
No kidding.
You know, it's absolutely it's a sci-fi setting. But to say that Alien isn't a horror movie is crazy. And that just gets into category. You know, we always want to be able to categorize things more than anything. But it's those first two. I would argue the whole thing. But it's just it's horror with either more or less of a sci-fi
backdrop kind of.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right.
Some are more sci-fi dependent, but heck, man, it's just a monster movie in the end.
Yeah.
In the end, it's a monster movie. There's a monster. He's trying to kill you.
Survive
it.
Yeah, that first one is almost Hitchcockian. Isn't it? It's just got all the hallmarks.
Dude, everything.
Yep.
Every single thing. It had the right cast. It had the right director. It had the right H.R. Geiger. It had the right music.
Yep.
Oh, man, it just had...
Was it Jerry Goldsmith?
I think it was, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, fantastic.
It's epic. Oh, man.
And I
then
love
the second one just
too.
Cranked it up.
Man, second one.
Dude, I mean that's the best way to do a sequel is when you say now we're gonna crank up the volume, suckers. Yeah. Right? You had one alien. Yeah. Now you've got a gazillion aliens. Right. And a queen.
Yeah.
And oh man. Yeah. And Bill Paxton.
Yeah. That is true. I mean that's the case of like, let's take everything we liked about the first one and now let's just make it huge.
Right.
We're gonna, instead of on a ship, we're gonna make it on a whole base on a planet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Can't say enough good things about that second one.
No, it's impossible. We're just we're two commentators in a world of commentators who all know how awesome Aliens is. Yeah. And it's funny. Do you think that James Cameron will go down as being known as the guy who did Avatar? But it's the guy who did Aliens, man.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And Terminator.
And Terminator. Yeah, that's a good
I'll give
point.
him both
That's
of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Who knows if he'll ever make his 18 Avatar movies he keeps talking about.
Yeah. No. I think he'll be looking at deep sea monsters.
Right. I'm at Titanic.
Garbage on the ocean floor at 50,000 feet or...
He did. I mean, he did have his hands in this latest Battle Angel Alita. I don't know if you've seen the trailers for it.
Oh, I didn't. No. Did he produce?
Looks like he produced with Robert Rodriguez directing.
Yep.
It looks interesting. I think I want to see it. But,
cool.
It's one of those. It's got, just like Ghost in the Shell had all this like internet backlash of you're not doing it right. Right. Because it's a classic manga.
Yes.
Classic. I love the anime. The anime.
That's what I was gonna. That's what I knew it for. Yeah, totally.
But we'll see. He still has a few tricks up his sleeve. Hopefully. But yeah, people, we're glad that you have listened to our Fright Night extravaganza.
Thanks for hanging out with us for part 2. And hopefully we'll keep these episodes cranking, man. We're going to keep busting them out.
Yep. Thank you to all the listeners and the likers and the commenters and the subscribers. And keep watching Evil Dead 2. Let's try to hit the 100K mark.
That's right. Thank you for telling all your friends about our one episode that does really good on YouTube.
That's right.
Hopefully we'll get another one. I guess we just have to do Evil Dead, right? And then we'll do Army of Darkness.
That's right.
And then 2013 Evil Dead. And we'll be world famous.
That's right.
We're talking about Bruce Campbell.
Right.
Then we'll go find Bruce Campbell because he lives in the same state.
Yes, you're watching that the series though, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I got to get into that.
So I'll just let you borrow them. They're beyond good.
Yes.
Beyond good.
Yes. All right, people.
Thanks again, and until we talk with you next time, thanks for hanging out with us here at the Neighborhood Watch.
Adios.